Have you noticed that the more you crave to be chosen is the less you feel like yourself? You're not alone in that experience. It is so common to feel that way. But why does that happen? You don't need that man, but you're obsessing over the text that you send him. You don't actually think that, but you make yourself more agreeable. You give and you give and you give to people because to you that's love, but you are giving more than you're receiving. When you reflect on your life, you find that you are explaining over and over and over again why you would be a good friend, partner, employee, person to follow online. And eventually, you're no longer connecting with the person or people in front of you. You're performing for them. You're doing this cute little dance trying to audition for their approval. Today, we're talking about how to stop chasing validation, friendships, relationships, opportunities, and success, and how to let your life contain something that, ironically, so many of us are uncomfortable receiving: reciprocation. There are so many moments in my life that I have found myself working so hard to be chosen without ever taking a step back and asking myself if what I was chasing so hard was actually something I wanted, or if it was just something that I thought I should have, or had been committed to chasing for so long, or that I thought in some weird, twisted, wounded way that it would prove my enoughness. The way I used to twist and turn and abandon myself to make myself indispensable to friends, doing what they wanted and agreeing with everything they said, regardless of even knowing my own values or my own opinions, because I wanted them to like me. I've overperformed with my work so that nobody could question my value. I would put so much intention and so much effort into what I was doing without ever resting because I thought that that would prove that I deserved what I was working towards. The ways that I have tried to say and do the right things, bending over backwards for these men to prove that I was good enough to love. I've obsessed over my content's performance and used analytics to tell myself whether or not the work I was doing mattered. I had this obsessive fear that if I slowed down, I was going to be surpassed. I wasn't going to be considered somebody that was working hard to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And that if I worked harder and never rested and did things nonstop, that I would get to the place that I wanted to go faster so that I could finally feel a sense of ease inside of me that I was enough. I had such a deep core belief that chasing proved how serious I was about reaching whatever goal I wanted to reach. When a lot of the time, all it was proving was how utterly terrified I was of being overlooked. By the end of all 6 parts of this episode, you will be able to clearly recognize when healthy pursuit has transitioned into an exhausting attempt to prove your worth. This episode will teach you how to create relationships, opportunities, and success through mutual interest rather than constant convincing. If anything in this episode resonates with you, please make sure to rate and review the show. It really does help get episodes out to like-minded listeners like you and I who need to live a little bit more Wellishly. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe if you are a person that loves self-improvement but does not like the inevitable self-rejection that comes with it. The Wellish community gives you permission to not be perfect so that you can actually feel like the best version of yourself without having to get everything right. I want to start by talking about why chasing creates so much anxiety. And the simple truth of it is chasing places your emotional security in someone else's hands. You stop asking, does this feel right for me? And start asking things like, do they like me? Did I say the right thing? Am I doing enough? How can I change so that they choose me? How can I make sure I'm not forgotten? The anxiety doesn't just come from wanting something and not having received it yet, but a lot of us think that that's what's happening because it seems to make the most sense. But the truth is, the source of anxiety comes from your belief of what receiving that thing will mean about you. You believe that when you receive that thing, it will prove something about who you are. And when we're doing that, we put ourselves through a 6-step emotional cycle. You want a specific person, opportunity, or result. You then attach that result to your worth. You then become hyper aware of every sign of rejection or acceptance. You perform harder to control the outcome. The lack of control makes you feel even more anxious, and you interpret that anxiety as proof that you need to try harder. And then you just psychotically spiral through this emotional cycle, spending all of your energy on that instead of just the action it will take to get to the result that you want, trusting yourself to make it happen. And I want to make something clear because I think that a lot of the time we are shamed for participating in this cycle and called
Desperate.
but wanting something is not desperate. Taking initiative to get it is not desperate. Following up when you don't get it after the first try is not desperate. You can do all of those things without being desperate. But you slip into that desperation territory when chasing begins, when you start abandoning your needs. You start abandoning your identity and your boundaries and your dignity in order to achieve the result that you want because you're trying desperately to force an outcome that is not moving towards you. Chasing in desperation is not wanting so badly that it's literally the only thing that you can think about and you want it so bad you could scream. Chasing in desperation is when you need to be chosen by that thing so that you are finally able to be chosen by yourself. Okay, so I've identified that I really want something, but I don't want to cross into that chasing and desperation territory that I feel like I've been living in for a little while now any longer. I don't like how it makes me feel. It makes me feel frantic and ruminaty and uncomfortable, and I would really love to pursue this with a clear head. If that's the case, you need to understand the difference between pursuit and proving yourself. Healthy pursuit sounds like I am interested, so I'm going to express interest. This matters to me, so I am willing to make an effort. I can ask clearly for what I want. I can tolerate that the answer might be no. I will look for evidence that the interest is mutual. Proving yourself sounds like I will show them that I am worth the effort. I'm going to figure out what I can do to become easier, prettier, more useful, more impressive, less needy so that they choose me. I can't stop now because then all of my effort will have been wasted. Their hesitation means that I need to give more because if they just understood, then they would receive it. They would choose me. If this does not happen, if the result I want isn't reached, that means something about who I am. Pursuit expresses desire. Proving yourself negotiates your worth. Pursuit allows for mutual choice, where proving yourself places you in the position of the applicant and the other person or party in the position of the judge. Think about this from a business and ambition point of view, because this applies to success too. Building a career or a business or a media brand requires initiative. You pitch and you publish and you follow up and you improve your craft and you make yourself visible. But there is a difference between strategically pursuing growth and doing everything in your power to obsessively, compulsively prove that you're legitimate. There's so much self improvement out there that tells you that if you don't work hard enough, you won't achieve what you want. It's the epitome of hustle culture. And so we believe and have been taught our whole lives that if we work harder, that we will get the end result. We are taught that in school, we're taught that through capitalism, we're taught that in our jobs. So we work harder, we're programmed to do it because logically it makes sense. But the truth is working hard and taking your work seriously doesn't require the outcome to be a certain thing. You can be a hard worker and take your work seriously, and the outcome doesn't have to be a referendum on your potential. So if you're listening and you're still kind of like, I feel like I could maybe be in the desperation category, but that's not true. I believe that if I work hard, I'll achieve what I want. I'm just a really passionate person that wants to pursue the thing that I want more than anything in this world. So I put myself on the line and I work my ass off to achieve it. I want to give you some signs that you might be in this category of auditioning for approval. And the very first sign is that you become whoever the room rewards. You change your opinions, personality, preferences, availability, emotional needs based on who's in front of you. And you're not being dishonest on purpose. You could even be telling yourself that you've let the people pleasing go and that that's not something you're doing anymore and that you do genuinely want to do that thing. But the reason you genuinely want to do that thing or want to think that way in that moment to whoever is in front of you is because you are trying to make yourself impossible to reject. The second sign you're trying to gain approval is you are over functioning. You initiate every conversation. You make every plan. You resolve every conflict. You carry the emotional labor. You're repeatedly offering more than the relationship has actually earned. And you chalk that up to being hardworking or loyal or caring. But underneath it all, you have this deep fear that things won't continue without your effort. The third sign is ambiguity makes you try harder. If things aren't clear, that means that you have to try harder. If things are not consistent, you don't just perceive that and take it in as information to then make your choice of what to do with that inconsistency. You make it an assignment for yourself. Like if they're being inconsistent or this thing is inconsistent, then that must mean I have to navigate it differently. I have to change my behavior and figure out how to pursue it better. How can I be more interesting? How can I make them miss me? What should I post? What should I say? How do I get them to recognize what they have? You are so focused on being chosen, on being selected, on being accepted, that you are not evaluating the fit, if it actually is a good fit for you. You're working tooth and nail to control their opinion of you without ever asking yourself what your opinion is of them. And your first reaction is going to be, oh, I love them. Oh, I like them. Oh, but they're good people. Oh, but they're fun. Oh, but whatever excuse it is that you've been giving yourself for this long. And you give yourself those excuses because you have to believe that you feel that way about them in order to continue to reach your goal, in order to continue to get them to choose you. Because if you don't feel that way about them, that means to you that they're not going to choose you. But you're not asking if you feel respected there. You're not asking if you're emotionally safe there. You're not asking if you feel relaxed enough to be honest. You're not asking if the relationship is reciprocal and being honest with yourself about what reciprocity looks like. You're not asking yourself if this opportunity aligns with the life that you are wanting to build. Do you genuinely want this, or do you just want the proof that you can get it? And the fifth sign is you treat rejection like proof about your identity. A person's lack of interest means that you as a person are not lovable. A missed opportunity means that you are not talented or qualified enough. A poorly performing social media post becomes nobody likes me, or nobody cares about what I have to say, or nobody thinks I'm pretty. Rejection can contain information that would be beneficial to you without there being any truth of your worth inside of it. When you're doing this performance, you are so busy trying to earn that role in order to earn that approval and to be chosen that you forget to ask yourself if what you are performing for even fits into your life and what you want for your life. Let me tell you what magnetic people actually do. And first and foremost is they challenge what the internet's version of magnetism is. A lot of magnetism is packaged for us as pretending not to care. You act unavailable. You don't text first. You can't let a person know that you're pursuing them or let people know that you're pursuing a certain thing. You've got to fly under the radar. And while you're laying low and flying under the radar, you have to become so successful and so attractive that everyone that ever overlooked you will regret it. All while waiting passively for the universe just to grant you what you wanted. That's not magnetism. It's your anxiety trying to look for other avenues to perform well enough so that you can get the results that you want. And to do so in an aesthetic, socially acceptable way. Magnetic people are willing to be seen. They are willing to put themselves out there and to say what they want. They express interest. They make offers. They show off their work, even though it means that they could fail and other people see it. And that in itself is the true definition of not being afraid of failure, because we are afraid of failure because we are afraid it means something about us, and we are afraid other people will see that meaning about us. But if you truly were not afraid of failure, you would be able to talk about whatever it is you're pursuing as much as possible to as many people as possible and know that it doesn't mean anything about who you are if you don't reach that result or if you change your mind or if you go a different direction. They initiate conversation and they allow themselves to want things and don't feel that that makes them desperate for wanting things and putting themselves out there in order to get it, or for even admitting that it's something that they want. Like, I want a relationship. I want this certain job. So you initiate the conversation and put yourself in the position to receive it. And not allowing yourself to want things protects you, because if you admit that you want things and you don't receive those things, that's vulnerable and it feels bad. It feels like it means something about you if you don't get what you want. You are in this position of needing to protect yourself because you've already felt rejected or abandoned or not good enough, or insert whatever wound it is that you have. And if you put yourself out there and allow yourself to want things and more evidence that contributes to that wound happens, you will have to deal with that again. But the difference is when someone that's magnetic wants something, they don't continue to escalate their effort to compensate for something or someone's lack thereof. Magnetic people leave room for reciprocation. After they reach out, they observe the other person's behavior. After they make an offer, they allow other people to respond and believe them when they offer their response. A magnetic person understands that by constantly filling the silence, it prevents them from discovering what was actually going to step up for them. Magnetic people believe that compatibility matters more than universal approval. They're not trying to be irresistible to everyone. They're trying to be recognizable by the right people that are the most in alignment with them. This is the least talked about but most important part of the advice that we have heard our entire lives. Just be yourself. If you are yourself and you are authentic and you are genuine, it will repel the things and the people that are not meant for you, the things and the people that are not in alignment with you. And that sucks. It doesn't feel good, especially when you are being authentic and genuine, because it feels like you're being rejected for who you are. But that is a good thing. It separates you from the things that are not in alignment with you and the life that you want. And what it does instead is attract all of the people and things that are in alignment with you, that will get you to the place that you are trying so hard to go, that are meant for you. Which leads us to the last thing magnetic people can actually do, which is survive a no. Their confidence doesn't come from all of the things and places and people that they've been chosen by. It comes from the belief in themselves, the trust in themselves, that even when they're not chosen, they will remain true to who they are. Self-trust is not trusting yourself to know that you will do everything in your power to control the situations and outcomes so that you know that people will choose you. It's knowing that even when they don't, you have your own back. You do not have to convince people to see your value. There might be times when you need to communicate your value clearly. You're gonna need to pitch your work and advocate for yourself and explain your needs and help someone understand you, but convincing and communication aren't the same thing. You clarify once, you advocate for yourself. You give someone an honest opportunity to meet you and to get to know you. What you can't do, though, is perform someone into valuing what they are unable or unwilling to value. They just might not have the capacity for you, babe. When it comes to relationships, you shouldn't have to repeatedly convince someone that your feelings matter. You shouldn't have to be low maintenance or less complicated so that they are consistent with you. You should not have to give a presentation and over explain yourself to get them to see why you deserve basic consideration. When it comes to friendship, you shouldn't be the only person trying to keep the friendship alive. You can be the person that initiates without carrying the entire connection. When it comes to opportunities, you can follow up without begging. You don't have to assume that rejection means that you need to transform into somebody else. Sometimes the answer is not to work harder to prove your value more effectively, but to take your value somewhere else that it will be seen and recognized. You're allowed to explain yourself, but you don't have to spend your life proving to everybody all of the evidence that you are someone worth caring about. So, all of that said, I made you a practical reset that you can use to get yourself to stop chasing. The first step is naming the thing that you are desperately chasing after. And then I want you to ask yourself, is it the person or is it the feeling of being desirable? Is it the opportunity or the proof that you are talented? Is it the friendship or protection from being perceived as a loser? Is it the success or is it the permission for you to finally respect yourself? The second step is to make one clear move. Express interest, send the pitch, ask the question, communicate the need, publish the work. Magnetism does not require you to be silent and passive, it requires you to be clear. Step three, stop performing and collect evidence. Ask yourself, are they moving towards me too? Do their actions match their words? Is effort being returned? Do I feel more like myself in this situation or less? What is the reality separate from my hope? Step four, you're setting a boundary with yourself. Set a no convincing boundary. I will not repeatedly explain why my feelings are reasonable. I will not send 3 follow up emails after I was told no to a job. I will not continue giving relationship level effort to an ambiguous connection. I will not stop posting on social media just because a post underperformed. I will not interpret another person's indecision as an invitation to try harder. And step five, redirect your energy because chasing takes up so much mental energy. So instead of using all of that energy to focus on everyone and everything else, return it to yourself. Use that energy to focus on the people in your life that you love and what they have to say and how interesting they are. Use it to focus on your home and keeping a space that is nice and feels good and it's clean and it feels cozy. Use it to focus on your body and feeding it with food that energizes and fuels you and moving it in ways that makes you feel good and mentally clear. Use the energy for your creativity and your goals and your financial life. Use it on your existing community and the people that are already showing up for you. And I'm not telling you to do all of these things as a tactic designed to make the person see what they lost or make the thing see your value suddenly and come back to you and pay attention to you. It's designed to make you come back to you. I would love for you to sit with me in this moment since we are already together. I don't want you to feel like you have to get off of this episode and make a bunch of life changes. I don't want you to hit pause on it or stop on it and pull out your journal and notate a bunch of stuff and feeling like you've got to like do all of this mental effort all of a sudden. I want while we're here together in this moment, while you're at the gym or you're in the library or you're driving to work, to just sit and think for a moment while we're already here about where in your life you are trying to prove that you deserve to be chosen. What effort are you giving that's not being reciprocated? What information are you scared will become available if you stop trying to fill every moment of silence? What would healthy pursuit look like here? What would it mean to choose yourself without having to pretend that you don't care? Take a deep breath. You don't have to change the world, change your entire life right now, but it's information to be aware of and be mindful of as you continue to move through your day to day life. And know and trust yourself that when you're ready, you'll make different choices that will put you in the position that you're not chasing desperately for the things that you want, but clearly and consciously choosing what makes the most sense for you and the life that you're building. And knowing that that all doesn't have to happen today. You are allowed to want love and friendship and connection and success and opportunities. You're allowed to want recognition and to make the first move. You're allowed to try hard. You're allowed to pursue a life that matters to you. But you do not have to turn every desire into a performance that you are getting right. The goal is not to become so detached that you never risk rejection. It's to stop rejecting yourself in an effort to prevent someone else from doing it first. Make your interests clear, bring your full value, take meaningful action. Then leave enough space to discover what is actually moving towards you. You do not have to convince anyone to see your value, and you do not have to become anyone else to deserve your own approval. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. I would love it if you commented below where you've been performing instead of allowing mutual choice. Your answer might be anonymously shared in the next episode of Confessions of a Wellish Listener. And if you've made it this far, obviously something in this episode resonated with you, so make sure to share it with a friend who you love so much and you see working so hard, but the things that they want in their life don't seem to be meeting them halfway. Hopefully they can use something in this episode to help them out. And make sure to come back for Wednesday's episode with Brian Poltro, where we'll be discussing our relentless pursuit of success and how to actually live a life that feels good. I hope you guys have an incredible, aligned, magnetic week, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.